Thursday is National Stop the Bleed Awareness Day, and the Stop the Bleed program is designed to train and empower bystanders to help stop uncontrolled bleeding in a trauma victim until the paramedics arrive. There are several training sessions scheduled for Thursday in Western Massachusetts, and Carolee McGrath sat down with Dr. Tyler Putnam, the director of the Surgical Intensive Care Unit at Baystate Medical Center in Springfield, to find out more about the program.
This program is a national, now international program that is meant to save lives. The major cause of life lost after injury is hemorrhage or bleeding to death. So because of recent events of the past several years, we have gotten together, the entire trauma community, EMS community, healthcare community, and said we can make a difference. And we said, okay, we need a way to train what we call the immediate responders. The first responders are incredible, the firemen, the police officers, but the immediate responders are the people who are there in the first few minutes. It takes literally 3 to 4 minutes for someone to bleed to death. And our first responders are incredible. They're often there within 8 to 10 minutes. That's not unusual. But in that 8 to 10 minutes, someone could bleed to death. So the immediate responders are you and I and everybody in our communities that can literally do what we teach in this course to save a life.
And what are the skills that are taught, and how long is this course?
We actually can teach the course very effectively in an hour to community members, and we emphasize really skills training. The skills are really identifying bleeding. We talk about ABCs. First, get somebody there to help you. Call 911, alert. And then controlling bleeding by compressing, or by actually compressing with the bleeding, and then actually using a tourniquet to control circulation. For example, here we actually have a sample. This is literally a leg that I bring around the region now, and 1-to-8 student ratio. We have multiple legs. We've taught 200 teachers before. That course is in Wilbraham. And we teach how to compress a bleeding area, and then we teach how to apply a tourniquet. Literally, a tourniquet can be applied within seconds. And if you can't apply a tourniquet, you can hold pressure. And that's been shown in the military and civilian communities to save lives.
And so what if you don't have a first aid kit? Is that something that you encourage people to have after taking the course?
What we're hoping to do is provide a Stop the Bleed kit next to every AED kit. We have the AED kits to defibrillate and actually help people after they've had a heart attack. We're hoping to have a Stop the Bleed kit in every school. And we actually have a state bill now in progress to mandate that, and we raise funds to help that. But if you don't, just taking off your shirt, using that actually to hold pressure. A tie would work. The tourniquets are best. The use of an improvised tourniquet is not optimum for us, but if that's all you have, that can be used. But really, if we can get a tourniquet in every school, in every car, I have a tourniquet, that I have in my car. Everyone in my family has a tourniquet in their car. So we can be, immediate responders.
I think a lot of people might be afraid, though, and they would say, gosh, could I really help somebody who's in a crisis situation?
I understand, and I think that's really one of the core advantages of this course, is to actually tell somebody, and teach somebody hands-on that you can make a difference. So, in this course, we teach people, and we show them the data, and we actually go through the steps that they need to use. And it's amazing when the adrenaline flows, like in the Boston bombing, and other events that we have in that type of event, how people are willing to help. But just having the extra confidence that comes to this course, I think, can make a huge difference.
And you said it only takes about 3 to 4 minutes for somebody to die.
It does.
From bleeding.
It does.
What have you seen as a trauma surgeon as far as people coming in who have been helped by a bystander?
We have seen, I've seen this thousands of times in the last 30 years, where someone who'd had training, or even had just without training, had the foresight to use compression on an artery. Gunshot wound, stab wounds. My own grandfather was a farmer in Vermont and had an injury on a tractor where he was bleeding from his femoral artery, the main artery of the leg. And a nearby farmer who was helping held pressure on his leg, and then he applied a tourniquet that he had to save my grandfather's life. So that's an example. And we see now all the time with this training now, tourniquets coming in on extremities. Every paramedic, pretty much every police officer now has a tourniquet with them.
I know this was developed after the Sandy Hook shootings.
This course, yes.
Yes, this course. What has been the response from schools, from churches, and from other community groups as far as this goes?
It's been tremendous. Our goal here, we've actually around the country kind of taken regions and said, okay, we need to take something that we can actually focus on. So we have 800,000 people in the counties of Western Massachusetts. So our focus is to train 800,000 people, in Western Massachusetts. And we do that by training 20 people. Half of those will be instructors. And then we train another 20. Half of those will be instructors. So we've trained over 3,000 people in the last year. And over half of those will be instructors. So it's just expanding exponentially.
And obviously you see, the other side of it, the tragedy of somebody not being attended to in this way as well.
Yes, I tell people when I'm training about a young man who came in with a simple injury to his jugular vein in his neck, very low pressure vein. All it would have taken is a little bit of pressure and he would have lived. And he was injured about 20 minutes before he got to the hospital. And we got to the hospital, he had already arrested from blood loss from that. And all it would have taken was a little bit of pressure. So I think if we can teach people and motivate people that they can make a difference, we will definitely have lives saved. And like I said, the major cause of death after injury is hemorrhage.
And a lot of people think that it would just be like a mass shooting, a car accident, but it could be just a simple accident?
Anything. We have people, very frequent injury is people who accidentally put their arm or fall through a glass door, and they have an injury to their arm, and they can bleed to death very quickly from that injury. So a simple compression or a tourniquet can save a life. Anyone who literally almost lives around anything that could potentially puncture you or harm your cars. Car accidents, there's a great story from Houston, Texas of a student who'd taken this course, was driving from Houston to San Antonio, car crash, a femur had actually gone through a leg, and actually the young woman was bleeding to death, and he literally held pressure and had a tourniquet with him from the course and saved that young woman's life on the side of the highway.
Wow. Now tell me about some of the places that this is going to be offered around here.
We are, May 23rd is Stop the Bleed Day here, and we're going to have courses at Baystate. We're going to have courses in Holyoke. We're going to have courses in Chicopee. Upcoming here within the next several months, we're going to be training hundreds of school teachers here in the community. Anyone who's interested, we have what's called the Western Massachusetts Coalition for Stop the Bleed. Ida Kondowitz is our chief nurse handling this at the hospital, chief training nurse for prevention, and she can be contacted anytime.
If you could demonstrate what you would do with that tourniquet.
Okay, again, and what I'm about to do literally takes seconds, as you can see. And this is a tourniquet that we use. It's called the CAT tourniquet, and it comes in a small case. You literally expand it to whatever size you need. It can go to literally almost a 2.5-inch limb, so even a child. You tighten it like this, as tight as you can with the Velcro. Very, very easy, very quick. This goes through here. And then with this is the actual tourniquet. And this actually goes down and actually compresses. And you actually turn this until you can't turn it anymore. And this, and for me, when it gets a little bit difficult, that's usually enough. And what we do when we're training, we actually feel someone's pulse. When that pulse stops, you've stopped the tourniquet. You literally stop the flow of blood. The tourniquet has. So that literally took me less than 30 seconds.
And can anyone learn this? I mean, are you talking even like kids in high school that could learn this as well?
Absolutely. We are actually going to a 5th grade elementary class.
5th grade?
5th grade this week.
Wow.
And we're going to be teaching them how to compress. And when I think back on my life, I can remember when I was 10 or 11 years old taking a first aid class. And we didn't have the technology that we have now. Some of what we're teaching, the gauze I have here is 3 times as effective as normal gauze for stopping bleeding. These tourniquets are incredible. Back then, I was learning how to stop bleeding with my shoestring and a stick, But these tourniquets, are much better if you can use them.
And what are you getting as far as a response, from the young people, like a 5th grade class or a high school class? Are they scared or are they interested in learning?
I think they're very motivated now, and with what we see in society, it's real. We know now that some bad things can happen in schools. They're very, very unlikely, but they can happen. And I stress also, this is just every part of daily living too. Bleeding and injury are part of daily living. So I think we find that our young people are very motivated.